back, and thanks for tuning in to the Made Remarkable podcast hosted by Kellee Wynne. In today's episode, we're thrilled to bring back Brooke Henry, or as you may know her, BB Henry. Brooke is reflecting on her journey this past year in the Remarkable League and shares insights on the importance of having a supportive community, continuing education as a business owner, and seeking out coaching when it's available for artists and creatives in business. Brooke emphasizes how this has positively impacted her as an introvert and helped shape her business model. Brooke shares how she has grown as an entrepreneur in just a year, including becoming a more confident self-promoter for her marketing and business, delegating her tasks by hiring team members, and a successful launch of her BB Art Journals masterclass. Check out the show notes and transcripts for more information about Brooke, exclusive promotional offers, and any special links mentioned during the episode. Kellee loves connecting with listeners, so don't be shy. Reach out on social media, and together let's build a community that celebrates the remarkable. If you want to be notified every time a new episode hits the airwaves, just hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast platform. Thank you for joining us today, and always remember, you are made remarkable, destined to achieve the unimaginable. Now, let's get to the good part. Introducing Kellee Wynne and Brooke Henry.
Well, hello. I'm Kellee Wynne, artist, author, mentor, fiercely independent mother and wife, and the founder of a multiple six-figure creative business. And I love my life, but I've been where you're at. I was slogging away at this art business thing for more than a decade. But once I finally connected with my true calling, unlocked the magic of marketing, and built a system that could scale, well, I realized I could make an impact and make a substantial income. I'm finally running a business that I love, and it makes all the difference in the world. My biggest dream is to help you do the same. Let this podcast be the catalyst to your biggest success. You already have it in you because you are made remarkable. Hello, Brooke. Back on the podcast.
Hi, Kellee. It's good to be back.
Well, it's not like we don't talk to each other every week anyway, but I love having you on the podcast so people can catch up with where you're at now and the experience you've had over the last year working with me and into your second year. So welcome back to the podcast and welcome back to your second year of the Remarkable League.
It's fun to have a conversation to share with everyone else too, so everyone can get in on the excitement.
Right. So if everyone has not listened to the previous podcast episode, we'll link that. That's from December. And there were a lot of juicy moments in that conversation. So let's just pick up now with where you're at and what's happening. You just launched your program, your signature course, BB Journals, for the second time. The first time was a beta tester launch. And now here you are, full-fledged launch with over 100 people in your course.
I am very excited. A launch is hard work, but it's all paying off already. To see people's excitement inside the class, that's what it's all for, to get people back to art and to creating. And so to be the one to facilitate that is a really special thing. And have people welcome you in as their teacher is just a moment that I treasure every time.
I love it. I know you put your heart into it, and sometimes even more than you need to.
Oh, it is a lesson I will continue to learn forever, that I need to pace myself out, but it's all with really good intention. So then that helps.
Well, you have actually brought a lot of interesting ideas to our group to include ways in which we can give better feedback and nurture individual customers as they're going through programs. And I love that because you're showing ways in which we can even adapt our courses within our program. Like as we come together and mastermind where we're going, what we're doing, there's a lot of sharing in the league. And I love that kind of collaboration and just pulling ideas together. And that makes the products that we're putting out there so much better.
Well, and to find ways to create more of that high touch feeling of close with people in the online digital world, I think is something that I feel so passionate about. I've been so lucky to take some in-person classes that have been, week-long workshops type of thing. But for me, that's not a reality. For everybody, pretty much that's not a reality. I had to travel states away for that to happen. And
Right.
So the digital world, when COVID happened, one of the best things that came out of it was the influx of online availability for art classes. But I think it almost became, we started to miss that element that was high touch personal interactions. And so finding ways to navigate that and bring some of that back is a really exciting thing. And it's a lot of testing and seeing what works and how people respond and what works best for them in their schedule too.
So what are some of the ways that you've been doing that, incorporating it rather than, as a lot of people see courses, they're just like on demand, watch some videos, make some art in the quiet of your own space. But there are other options and you're
Mm.
created your signature. You have some on demand classes, which is great because sometimes that's all we want. We want to get in, get the info and go on. But sometimes, like you said, we're missing that community. We're missing coming together close. And so what are some of the things that you've incorporated into your program?
Mm. Well, and I'm a big believer that there's a place for everything. So those courses that are on demand, ready to watch, I can continue to put those out where I'm not as involved, but I'm helpful any step that you need. It's these ones that you may pay a little bit more money for. And that means that I can afford to spend more time with you, which is what I want to be doing. And so it's having thoughtful replies to people. I do photo mock-ups in my class. So people will take a flat lay photo of what they're working on. I can actually go in with my iPad in a program and mark it up. I'm like moving the fabric pieces around. It's like a teacher coming around to your table at the workshop and being like, well, what if you tried this? What if you did that? So it's trying to find ways to use the advances in digital to help people. And so it's hard sometimes to learn those new digital things, and especially if you didn't grow up with it. I'm lucky that I did be in an age where I pretty much had it for most of my childhood. And so finding ways to bring that to others that may not be as natural to them is really fun. And that's my biggest way of trying to have that connection with people. And it's like I'm walking around with them in their studio and saying, what if we try this? What if we do that? So I think that's one of the biggest ways that's really fun.
I also love that you've incorporated Zoom into your program so that people can actually get on, ask questions, do some co-creating, and like work through. Almost, it's not the same as being in person, but it's, you get that kind of ability to be in spirit and in energy with other people.
Absolutely. So yeah, I have the office hours where you can come ask questions, but then this time around, I am incorporating co-creates where we're just gonna chat and see where things take us. If you want to see something in my studio, I could even flip the camera around and show you. We can have a show and tell moment where everyone shares what they're working on. Or if you can't make it live, even watching the replay and have it going while you create is really fun too, because it's like, oh, I get inspired from other people's ideas and what they're working on. So it's a big influx of inspiration all around. I get just as inspired from my students as hopefully they do by me.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go on with this like idea. We've started a business. We don't have any idea of how enriching it's going to be until we're in it. Struggles and all, but just the experience you have of being able to connect with other people like that, it's honestly the reason that I keep going.
For me too. I mean, there are days where there are things that come up. That's life in general, no matter what realm you're in, no matter what you're doing for work or to make a living.
Yeah.
But the benefits so outweigh the struggles that come up. And they always say if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life. Well, I work every day, but I enjoy it. Almost never does it feel like, oh, great, I have to do that. There's things I enjoy more than others, but I can truly say I can see the big picture and how all of those things are leading me to where I want to go. And I think that's the important thing, to always remember that and to focus on the good things. It's easy, human nature, to focus in on those one-off things that affect us, but overwhelmingly it's good. And to bring ourselves back and focus in on that makes everything worth it.
You didn't know what was possible when you started. You are like many of my customers who are out there, or many of the community, that it's like, well, I have this creative thing I'm doing. How can I sell a few pieces of art? Or maybe I'll throw a course up online and see what happens, without realizing the potential of actually building a real business. And when that like clicked for you, everything changed. I saw you take what was like a try it and see, which is great because you learn a lot from try it and see, to, okay, now I'm actually going to put systems in place and I'm going to treat this like a real business and I'm going to grow it. And I see that you notice there's this huge expansive future and potential for you now. It's a
It's
huge
so
mindset shift.
it's so true. I'm thinking back. It was only a year ago that we first talked before I collaborated with you for the virtual art summit. And I had put out a class before we got together. I had built my website. I had done stuff. But I will say that I felt I had a limit of how far I could go, because putting out those classes, I didn't really want to launch them. I was waiting for magic to happen, put it out there and they'll come. Well, that may have been true at one point when it was first brand new, but now that's not necessarily the case. As tough as that is to hear for
I
people.
know.
And I loved making products, I'll say, not really products, but my handmade journals, things like that. But that's also limited. I only have so many hours in the day to sell those. And so when you and I got together and we started talking, and I was talking with everybody in the league, things just opened up for me, because it wasn't okay, we're going to struggle each and every time to put something out and just keep throwing as much at the wall as possible and hope that we can keep treading water for as long as possible.
Yeah.
That's not sustainable. And with my past experience, I go full in on stuff and then it's like, oh no, what have I done? But it's building a business that is sustainable. There's times of busyness and times that are lower, but building something that we can keep doing year after year so that people start to know us and know what to hopefully expect from us and get excited each year that something new is coming.
Well, and it's the difference of, like you said, always putting another offer out there, or always just like changing paths every time you feel like, okay, now what do I have to create new? And not realizing, yeah, it's absolutely true, Brooke. You can't just build it and they will come. That's the old way. Now it's like, if you build it and you find the right customers and you market it and you continue to nurture it, then they will come and it will grow. But
Mm-hmm.
so many creative entrepreneurs, artists, makers, they don't know how to do that. That's not their natural inclination. In fact, some of them don't even realize what's possible for them. That a six-figure business is absolutely viable when you start understanding marketing and sales and your structure of your business. And that's what we worked on. It's the same concept. What I put in the league and I worked through with the mastermind group is the same thing that I put in Build It Remarkable. It's these principles of marketing that really help create like simple systems to keep you going.
Well, and I like that you said it is about the marketing. And I think it is natural that it is uncomfy to talk about yourself and sell yourself. You guys, I mean, I've gotten a little bit better, but oh man, during a launch, I feel like I am bombarding your email and I am just the most annoying person in the world. But what helps me to be like, no, okay, it's for a short period. I'm going to talk about as much as possible, because if you don't, people don't even know it's there. So they don't know what they're missing unless you let them know what is happening. I am uncomfortable with this, but I have gotten from, the league has been so helpful in making me realize I'm better at it than I think I am. There is a way to connect with people and be genuine and still sell something. And I think one of the important factors is when you're connecting, you're not always trying to sell something. That's a limited part of the year or of the business cycle, whatever. But I think those people that connect with me know that on those off times, I'm giving away as much as possible, as much as my bandwidth can allow. I'm posting YouTube tutorials for free. I have free classes, digital downloads. So I think that helps to really connect with the audience when you are being genuine and you are offering value every time you talk to them. And it's gonna be uncomfy probably forever, but you guys, it's how it is. And if you want people to be impacted by your course or whatever you're putting out there, you have to let them know that it's there.
Well, and also let's talk about all that we do that we're not asking for anything in return. And how sustainable is that if you're not actually making an income to support yourself and support the business? And this is the part that I find so perplexing about so many creatives. They start this business, but then they feel uncomfortable making the sale or asking for the sale or even marketing their stuff. And I'm like, okay, so you're pretty much working for less than minimum wage now. You're like working for free. And sometimes it's costing you money to keep doing what you're doing. And maybe we need a deeper conversation about money and the psychology of money for a creative. But no one would feel shame if they were even just serving food as a waitress, because we know we need to put food on their table and our table. If you were a doctor, you would never be embarrassed to say, hey, these are my fees. I worked for this. But whatever it is that we're doing, the skill, the expertise that we brought to this world, once you've decided that you want to make a business out of it, let's make it profitable.
Well, and I think that's so true because even though you are creative, you still are a business owner. And I think it's that mindset shift of taking from hobby or dabbling to really going after what you want. And sometimes it's even just realizing what you want. It's the hard part. Letting yourself even picture it is the hard part. And as creatives, I think a lot of us are just really giving by nature. We want to share. Art makes us happy, so we want to share that with others. And so then somehow it's over time been deemed as like a not essential thing. Food, we have to eat to do it. And saying that we have to do art or be creative in some way feels maybe funny. But for me, I can say with my life, if I don't have some sort of creativity, I would not be here today. So when I look at it in those terms of what my why is and what the why is for a lot of people of why art is so important, I think that helps us to value what we're offering a little bit more and saying that we are willing to charge something in order to give part of ourselves to our customers and to help them to continue on in that pathway. You have to put food on your table too. And so you can't just be giving for free all the time.
And let's even talk about it for farther than that. Like, so all my needs are met. I have a house, I have health insurance, I have food, my family's taken care of. But what more can I do if I actually allow myself to dream big and make a good income and get paid for the work that I do? Then what else am I capable of doing? I can spend more money hiring other people and sustain them. I can spend my money with businesses, and not just businesses, but causes that I care about. I can make sure that there's reserves to take care of my parents as they're aging, or my son because he's got a chronic health issue, or even being able to fulfill some of our dreams that are maybe a little more personal or selfish. Traveling the world, that's a big thing for me. But when I travel the world, I get to bring my mom with me. So she gets to travel the world. And when I travel the world, I get to meet up with people I've met all over the internet. And now I get to actually put, my arms around someone and give them a big hug. And it's like, okay, so the bigger I build my business, the more people I can serve and the more that I can do. And it's that big audacious dream that we don't allow ourselves to have, that once you break through and say, oh, this is a reality, this is a possibility. And by me doing this, it's not holding anyone else back from doing it as well.
Well, it's so cool to think about that ripple effect. And I think we talked about this last time on the podcast too, but it became even more for me. So after the launch, I've been doing some planning for this next year. I mean, that's just how you go. You have to keep planning ahead. And part of the systems I'm putting in place is utilizing the help that I've hired on an even higher level. I'm employing them for more hours and giving them a bigger paycheck. And I think about last year, that was one of my big goals, is just to even hire somebody for some of the little admin tasks. And now I'm realizing there are people that do stuff faster and maybe even better than me in the business. We don't have to be experts at everything.
Right.
I'm happy with my personality and the hard work that I have put in. I can say if all of a sudden that help went away, I know how to do those things. But sometimes it's not worth the headache of completely deep diving and learning something when there's somebody that can do it for us. And so that's part of the thinking of money too, is sometimes you think that you have to be making a certain amount. And I know you've talked about this before you even hire help or before you even start running ads to your business, all of these things. But what if we started investing earlier? What
Right.
if I'm thinking of the impact in the next couple of years for me, hopefully, by having those people in place to help me now, my bandwidth is going to be so much bigger for the creative part, the part that I actually enjoy, and the part that
Yes.
people can only get from me. Of scheduling a YouTube video. Well, I already did the fun part. I filmed it. I can now send that to somebody, and it's all about getting those things in place and finding what you're comfortable to. Oh, give up is not the right word, but I have pretty high standards and I like to be in control of everything. It's
You've
just
let
how.
go of so much control when you've realized that you actually get to preserve your energy for the part that's the most important in your business. And you're right, you found people who are just as good, if not better, at doing a lot of the things. And that was one of your biggest goals. And this is how I know you're a business owner and you're really serious about it rather than a dabbler, is because you are reinvesting in your business over and over again to see it actually grow by making sure that you're doing it sooner than most people would,
Mhm.
and way sooner than I ever did. And this is definitely like when you have some clarity and you've figured out a few systems in your business to jump on board with ads or admin help, it so much frees you up to do the things that are really important and actually grows your business faster. And I have heard the saying of, the reason you can't afford to hire a virtual assistant is because you haven't hired a virtual assistant.
Mm.
They really do pay themselves back by just doing the work that helps grow your business.
That is so true. And for me, it's like I'm not looking at retirement yet. I have the advantage that I am still young, I guess. And so I am looking far into the future and how this is going to impact me. So you're right. I did hire help a lot earlier than most people do, but I feel really comfortable with that decision now that I've been in it for a while. Because there's just things where like I'm scheduling like this winter to be kind of a light time period because I want to get in and create. And I know that that's the time that I need for the entire next year to be sustained and put out new ideas, things like that.
Right.
But I'll have these systems running in place in the background, and my virtual assistants can help me during that time. So if
Right.
I didn't have them, I would still be bogged down with everything. And don't get me wrong, guys, I do a lot of the admin still for my business. I'm not hiring these people full time, Anyway, I don't want people to think I'm just like handing everything off. I'm not there yet in my business. By
But
even
man, just
taking
a
that
few
first step,
hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
by even taking that first step, that's sometimes the hardest because it's not easy to hand things off. So once you do it, kind of feels good and, you can see the possibilities.
Right. So then the business becomes lighter in a way. Yes,
Mm.
now you have a responsibility because you're committed to a paycheck, but guess what? You have a real business, Brooke. This
Yeah.
isn't just playing at entrepreneurship. This isn't
Mm.
I've heard this term, wantrepreneur,
Yeah.
like wanting to be but not actually being. So I really am concerned about those who have taken the dive but then don't want to reinvest, whether
Mm.
it's for coaching, for education and training, to hire some help and expertise in certain areas. I think that's really what distinguishes you as a serious business owner.
Well, and I think it's something to be said when you start investing back in yourself and in your business, you are now holding yourself accountable. And so by not doing those things, sometimes it's easy to say, okay, this month I'm not going to be putting out new stuff or whatever. Just even setting up some of these systems, I have to get my part done 2, 3 weeks, a month in advance. And
Right.
that's kind of a hard thing to think about because it's like, well, what if I just don't feel like it? What if I don't want to do that? Or I'm used to doing things last minute, and that's kind of me by nature, but
Me
we're
too.
working on it. And having those things to hold you accountable, those other people, when you're impacting other people's lives, it holds you accountable in a way where it's like, I want to be successful because I want them to be successful too. It and coaching, I never thought that I needed a coach. I never even considered it because I didn't even picture for myself. But oh man, I am so thankful for the past year. And it was pretty much a no-brainer for me when you opened up again. I was like, I am continuing on. It I will always have things to learn, but beyond that, you can inundate yourself with information every day of the year, but you have to implement. And sometimes it's those implementation things that you need help on, and how to navigate that. And seeing the other people in the league that they're now into year 3, I saw their year 2 and how much
I
they
know.
grew from end of year 1 to end of year 2. And it's like, I want that. Like, I want to be that. So
Yep.
it's very cool when you choose to invest in yourself. You make that commitment to yourself, and you can see what can come out of it.
I'm so glad you said that. And I hope to be that guide for many more people, hundreds or thousands more to come. But the right coach is out there, the right person that can mentor. If you find that person, I think it's worth the investment, because I know that when I've gotten help, when I've paid for coaching and the proper training and someone to give me feedback, like that's when I started growing the most, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, and even in a mastermind type group or small group, even if there's some sort of community aspect where you can bounce things off of each other, it helps to have, I call them colleagues. It's a weird word because they're friends now at this point, but like to have people in the industry that you can talk to openly about things. You're not just sitting by yourself anymore trying to figure it out. It can be creating an art business can be quite lonely. I mean, unless you have a studio where people are coming in all the time, whatever, that's not my reality. I'm in my basement right now. Like, I'm not around anybody. My desk is up by itself. And so to be able to connect with people and just like bounce things around, see how they're doing, cheering them on. I think the positivity from everybody is just so infectious. Like, none of us are competing against each other. Like, and even though we're in similar realms, like we literally start cheering when somebody has a win. There's something to be said about having that in your life where you're cheering each other on. Truly.
I really think that's one of the main reasons I created this, is because I did it alone for so long. And I've had some great business meetings in my head, but it's not quite the same as when you're talking to other people. And there's something in that camaraderie and having someone who finally gets you. Because let's be honest, look around in your neighborhood, in your circle of friends, and the people who your kids go to school with. Most of them are like, how's that little art hobby going? And it's like,
Yes.
oh crap, nobody gets what I'm going
Yep.
through. When you find those people, or you find a group or a program or a mastermind that can support that growth, I really think that's when people grow leaps and bounds.
I think so too. And I'm the kind of personality where I'm satisfied being by myself most of the time. And so
Mhm.
for me to say that I enjoyed having this group so much and enjoy ongoing having them is kind of surprising even to me, because I'm happy here in my little studio playing by
Yeah.
myself with my music on, whatever. But especially if you're an introvert and you enjoy that, it's probably beneficial for you. And if you're an extrovert, you need to find a group, those people are going to be what fuels you. So there's something magical about finding that. And it can be hard, and it's like finding a therapist. It may not be the right fit on the first time, but you have to keep going back and finding somebody. It's this
Right.
group, and I was lucky enough that I knew I connected with you. And when I know I connect with somebody, that's when I open up. And I know people are then find out that I'm kind of an introvert, and they're like, really? It's like when I can connect with somebody,
exactly.
That's when the magic happens for me.
And I can think back to some of your concerns when you were starting off with the coaching program was, what about my energy levels? And I'm not sure that I'm always going to be able to stay up with my business and all of those kinds of, and also exposing yourself emotionally to a group, which, like you said, quite quickly realized that it was a very safe place to be, which it's because I'm very careful about making sure that the right people come in who have the same kind of values and integrity. So we have all gotten along wonderful. There's never really been a problem. But I know that you now, looking back a year and then looking into the future, that conversation of, I don't know if I can sustain this business, to, oh, I have systems in place and now I know my rhythms and I know when I can take time off and I know when I can push something to another. And the things we put on repeat actually is how we end up having more time and energy for ourselves.
I never thought I would repeat anything. As creatives, we're full of ideas. And I still am. I want to share all the new stuff. But like for my business model, for example, I'm going to have one big class that repeats itself. And then I'm going to have 1 to 2 littler classes where I can share still those fun ideas. So it's about building that business around your own needs. And you don't need to follow anybody else's model. It's about finding one that works for you. And I think that's just an unknown factor for a lot of people getting started. They see what maybe the mainstream is, and it's like, okay, I can sell my art. Let me try to hustle as much as I can to sell as much art as possible. And I'm not saying give up selling your art. I still enjoy selling my stuff from time to time, but I also know that that's not going to be the revenue that sustains me. It's like a little bonus on top when I can. So finding that what works for you. And I mean, I always come back to the mental health thing. That was one of my biggest things. You were right. The energy levels, my anxiety about even meeting people at a certain time, that was really going to hold me back until I let myself make that connection with you. And then it was like, it's going to be okay. Even if I don't have the energy or whatever, still just to commit myself to it. It's changed me in so many ways. It's not just business. Like,
well,
it has been such a growth year. Yeah.
You are very different, Brooke, from the Brooke that came in a year ago. No doubt about it.
My confidence levels, just even in myself and in my abilities, it's hard to even put into words. And I mean, it came at a point where I was making personal life changes as well. So it's just been like, I feel like a totally different person. And I have you to thank for helping me along that way. You know?
Success looks good on you, Brooke.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Well, and that energy, time commitment has come up and you've dealt with it gracefully. You wanted to launch early on in this year and you said, I don't know that I feel like I can handle that right now. I said, go on your vacation without a worry in the world and then come back and launch. Tell the people behind the scenes that had joined on early bird over the holidays, you're just going to push it back a couple months and then do it at a time where the energy feels good to you and you had all the energy behind it and were able to launch successfully. And so this is one nice thing about our business. We can adjust what we're doing, not a whole lot. I mean, like if you change it every 2 days, people are going to get confused. But to be able to say, hey, look, I haven't actually done this yet. I think I have enough space. I can push it out a couple more months when I know spring's coming, the sun will be out, I'll feel good. And it was a huge difference. And for you to be able to know that you could do that.
Well, and I'm such a people pleaser by heart. And I think a lot of us are. And the worry of even making one person sad or disappointed really was holding me back. But once I had talked to you in the group and I had made that decision for myself, I felt immediately better. It was like, oh, I am giving myself the time that I need so that when it does happen, I can come in at the full energy. And it was like, now that we're in it, I'm in the class now. I am so excited and full of energy. And I did not feel that back in, January. I was just tired and I needed some time, and I needed to be creative for myself before I helped others with their creativity. So it was absolutely the right decision, but that doesn't mean it's always easy. But
This
I
is
can
good
learn
that you
now
can
for
do it.
next year. Yeah, I can learn now for
Exactly.
next year and the year after. And all of those things are just great learning lessons.
Oh, and that's the thing. You put it into repeat, there's a lot less work to do as you do it again and again. That gives you more time for making art, more time for spending with family, traveling, whatever else it is that you love to do. And this has been like a huge unlock for everyone who was in the league. And some of them, it took all the way to the end of the league before they were like, oh, I get what you're saying about like narrowing down what you do and just focusing on it and going all in, because
Mm.
that means I'll have more time and I'll actually have more success. And it's honestly been over a decade's worth of me resisting putting something into play and doing it on repeat. So I did Build It Remarkable last year and the league last year. This year, the league is smaller because I'm all focused on doing Build It Remarkable again. I want people building real businesses and not just dabbling. I want to give them the tools that they need. And there are a lot of things that we've learned, everything from how to niche, how to build a business model, how to work on our marketing systems, how to do a launch, and really how to communicate all of that, which is what marketing is. Marketing is just learning how to communicate. And the success I've seen from those who've been through my programs already just keeps fueling me to like, okay, just keep moving forward, just do it a little bit more. And that's why I've had those of you who've all been through one of the two programs that I have, to be able to talk about what it takes to be here, to be able to do what
Mm,
you're doing.
mm.
It's
And
something
that
else.
it's so true to hear people's experiences, and Kat and Drew, hearing their experiences, that was what helped me make my decision last year. I never came into it thinking, okay, just by paying you and signing up, that means I'm going to be successful. I knew the hard work that would have to go into it, and I was willing for that. So I will say I was at a stage where I was willing to make those
Yeah.
commitments and that time, and it was like, I need to start taking this seriously and myself seriously. But to see people through Build It Remarkable make changes from the first to the last of the weeks, and seeing the decisions that they made for their business, it's really, really exciting. And I'm excited to go through it with students again. I really want to take all of the lessons from Build It again, now that I've been in this for over a year with you, and revisit some of those things again. And so I think it's going to be a really fun experience to see who comes in. Join us, you guys. I'm going to sell a little bit for Kellee. It's worth
Yes.
it. And I think you'll get a lot out of it if you need some clarity and you feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're putting in the effort, but you just don't seem to be making traction. Like you're the perfect person.
And I do want to clarify, I'm looking for people who are thinking outside of the box. I don't teach how to sell your art online or how to get into galleries. I don't do traditional stuff. I'm looking for businesses with solid business models that are courses, collaborations, all kinds of programs that people can create and work within the community or online. Or it's just that I would love to help those who have been like, why have I been doing this for so long? Or I've always wanted to do this and I don't understand why I'm not, like you said, getting traction. And I want to help them put those building blocks into place. I'm really passionate about this because I loved teaching art courses online, and I've done summits and I've done memberships and I've done master classes and I've done workshops and I've tried all these different things. And it was hard to pull back from doing that because I love watching people get it with making art. But now, through all these other amazing teachers and creators, you're doing that and putting that work into the world, and I'm making sure that you find your success. And that's just like such a, like, I'm
It's
cheering.
that ripple effect.
It's a ripple effect.
Yeah.
And so I felt like, okay, I have no excuse now to not go all in and help other people build it remarkable. Not build it just tiny little bit, not just maybe all, but like really like reframe how they're doing it, simplify it, and make it easier and get that message out there, make marketing less scary, make sales so much less scary, and then make a lot of them and realize it feels good and you're serving people. And when that gets out there, everything starts changing. And I know that that's what's changed for all of my clients. I know that I'm teaching through experience, the things I've been through, and then also learning from you, Brooke. Look at learning from the league. And I see everyone's putting out their information, they're testing, and we're seeing what works. And every single person who was in the league found growth to one level or another, some a lot more than others. But, it's going from nothing to something, or going from spinning your wheels like Brooke did and saying, okay, well, I'll just keep making more courses every couple of months. I'll just throw another thing out there and tell people on my Instagram, to, okay, wait a minute. I want to build a list. I want to build trust with my customers. I want to work up my marketing efforts so that when I open the doors, I can get a really good profit off of it so that I can sustain myself and keep going. And then you've put these systems into place and I see your growth, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, and I have to say, like, how lucky are we to have you? Like, I know, and that sounds so like whatever, but I really mean it. So I'll give you an example of with Robin Marie Smith. She had Makers Tech U, which is no longer around. But when I was ready to go into business and I wanted to build my website, what led me to her is she was an artist doing the tech side of it. For you, you are now a business coach. There are lots of business coaches out there, but you've been in the art world and you understand it. And so to be able to take it and teach it in a way that relates to art and creativity, that's the magic right there. And to be able to take your years of experience and your tests and your failures and your wins, all of that, and bring it in a way that can help us, it's like we're taking almost a leap of like skipping some steps, kind of. Yes, we still have to test
what I'm hoping.
Yeah. I mean, I still had to, test my masterclass and see how it goes. I'm not saying that you're going to just be instantly successful overnight, but to be able to know what worked and what didn't work for somebody else is very, very beneficial. And I think then the more that are in the group, we can all share with each other what is working and not working for us. And then we can take it into our own style and our own thing and say, well, this is what I need. How can I make it work for myself and my business? So you coming and being willing to offer all of that to people is just such a benefit. Like I will sing your praises all day. I've told everybody
yours too, but yeah, I understand not only you as the person building the business, but I understand your customer. And so I understand it in a holistic way that other people maybe, I'm not saying that there aren't other coaches out there that could help you, but like, I really understand this stuff. And I understand just the heart of marketing in a way that really works for creatives. That's why I love what I do. That's why I love getting on here and seeing you take these leaps and bounds and or a cheesy thing that everyone says, the quantum leap. But honestly, there is a leap from what you don't know to understanding systems that really propel you forward. And I just love seeing that happen. And as of right now, we've got people in the league that are making multiple six figures. You're on track to do that this year yourself, Brooke. I'm amazed by what can happen when you stop playing small and start thinking big. Your big audacious dreams, right?
And you almost have to be willing to have that for yourself and say, I want to have that. I want it, and I'm going to do what I can to make it happen before just saying, I'm going to make enough just to live or whatever. It's
or just to buy more art supplies. Let's think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that was my whole thing when I first started. It was like, can I just sell enough just to cover my supplies? I'll be happy. And now it's making impact of my husband doesn't have to be as burdened with having that all on his shoulders. Like, I've just seen even a change in him of being like, wow, she is helping and contributing, and like he's excited for the launches and he's excited to see what happens. And the first step to having others take you seriously is taking yourself seriously.
Ooh, there it is. All right, so for everyone who wants to take themselves seriously, the doors are opening soon to Build It Remarkable, and Brooke will be hanging around cheering you on.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much, Brooke. Everyone, if you don't know already, BB Henry Art on Instagram.
BB Henry _art, but yep.
You'll be able to find her and connect with her. Tell her what you thought about this podcast episode. And I bet you anything, she'd be willing to answer any questions you have about working with me.
Absolutely. Hit me up.
All right. Thank you. Thanks so much,
Kellee.
Brooke.
Oh, I love it.